What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 5. My bad. Jesus. We're alive. It's been a weird weekend, we'll put it that way, for everything, as far as planning and production goes. But we got it together at the last minute here. It is episode 5 of the Just Sayin Sports podcast. Sydney's dying a slow death now because I'm an idiot. But we doing what we got to do here. Not a very... I don't know, week 1 was a wild week, like we were just talking about before we went recording, which was like, week 1 was kind of funny just because the Antonio Brown shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
Since then, pretty mundane. Aside from like weird standings moments, like in the NHL and stuff like that, everything's kind of gone how you would expect it to go. Our prediction, by the way, we're going to lead off with the World Series because it's going on right now, is still alive. We predicted...
Astros in 6.
It's
currently 2-2.
It's currently 2-2. I'm not gonna lie. When the Nationals went up 2 games to none, I wanted to text you and be like, "Not good, not good."
I mean, and like home field advantage apparently doesn't matter in baseball. Like you could make the argument that it doesn't matter in any sport, but for some reason in baseball,
definitely not in this series.
Yeah,
anyway.
no, because.
Well, I guess you could argue even in like other series, like the series we probably talked about the most, honestly, just because I'm a Cards fan. But like the Cardinals-Braves series was kind of the reverse. Like, I mean, we walked off, at home.
Right.
But they go back to their home where we had a technical difficult time batting and have a 10-run first inning. So, I mean, like, I wonder if it comes from, like, the mindset I would have, which is if somebody texted you and said, hey, you're going to have a hard time in this place because it's home field for them, do you just get the mindset of, like, fuck it? Like, I'm just going to play twice as hard because I want to ruin it for their fans. Because I would be that guy. I always loved when we were like bowling in high school. If the other team we were bowling against had, like, I say more fans, like more parents and stuff there, and they were louder, I wanted to throw more strikes just to shut them up. Like, I wanted to be the reason they couldn't be. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes me an asshole, but like,
are not gonna be.
But what's the headline you always see in baseball when somebody hits a home run? Silences the fans. Because that's what happened last night. Because Houston just decided, oh, hey Nats bullpen, that's too bad. You had a good couple games. Oh. Like,
time to show why you have the worst ERA in baseball. No, like that.
Tonight's game.
I'm just glad our prediction is still on point.
By the way, we're recording this morning. You will not see this by the time Game 5 is played, because it will be played tonight. But starting pitchers are Cole and Scherzer.
Yeah, Garrett Cole against Max Scherzer,
who have pretty decent. Honestly, I would say pretty similar stats. Cole is 20-5 with a 2.5 ERA. Scherzer is 11-7. With a 2.92 ERA. That's not terribly different. As far as ERA goes. The ERA is super close. No. The stats aren't really great because if I remember correctly, I do remember Scherzer getting let down a couple times this year about, like, he's the pitcher of decision and it didn't come out his way. Because, again, they have the worst closers in baseball.
Worst bullpen in baseball. Glad to see. Like, this is the Nats... What we saw the last 2 games, that's the Nats team that I saw basically all year.
That somehow hit itself from the first part of the postseason.
Like, that was the reason why I said there's no way the Nats make it past the wildcard game because their bullpen won't last. And apparently I'm a moron.
I still think we're right. I still think we have the right decision. I love that MLB.com. We talk about this really quick. I love that MLB.com puts up their record. The series is tied 2-2. No fuck Washington is 2 wins, 2 losses, and no fuck Houston is 2 wins, 2 losses. Why are you still listing like
at this point it just makes sense to list regular season games or
don't list them at all because we're in the only 2 teams remaining.
Right.
Or fuck. They're like this is like
you could list their postseason record instead, not just their.
It's not like they're playing for a standing spot. We're not playing for you know what I mean? Like that's when that matters because that's how you get up there. It doesn't make any sense now when it's just whoever gets to 4 games first wins. Like, can we be just so happy, though, it doesn't go on, like... So you know how, like, you'll talk about, like, a team is 4.5 games back in the regular season?
Yeah.
Aren't we glad postseason series don't play off that? Where it's like, we led through the 6th inning, we win. Like, they just end the series, the umpire's just like, game over. They led 2.5 games, it's over. Like, can you imagine if that's how it works still? Like, that'd be hilarious. Which... honestly would be kind of funny because it would make a lot of games much more intense than having to get through 9 innings to get to the intense part. If it would just be like, we're in the 5th inning. If we lead through the 5th inning, we win.
It's game over.
It's sudden death. Like, it's literally sudden death. Game 7s would be hilarious because you only have to get past the fourth. You only have to lead through the fifth inning. If you lead through the fifth inning, game over. Like, I think we just fixed baseball. I think we just fixed baseball right there. Like, make games sudden death through earlier innings. Like,
I mean, knowing our luck, Rob Manfred's going to see this video and he's going to be like, implement that into the minor league system. I want to see what happens.
No, because if you think about it, though, like, you know what's funny is apparently, I think this happened a couple weeks ago. It didn't happen recently. But talking about, testing stuff in the minor leagues before it comes to the major leagues, which I think baseball is the only league that does that because the NHL uses its own rule set, but the AHL just uses, I think, American hockey rules, but they're the same. The
MLB always tests out, like they tested out.
Which has pros and cons. Big
yeah,
pros
no, it
and
does.
Because cons are, I call a kid up, if he's unfortunately been in the fucking lab test for some fucking rule, like the electronic strike zone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I want to think, because a kid got ejected recently. He argued electronic balls and strikes, which I'm going to call him out for being a moron. And this is no offense, but you can't win that argument against a human umpire. This is an electronically tracked strike zone. That's like your calculator giving you an answer and you being like, fuck you, buddy. Like, it's just like, and I'm sure if you asked him now, he's like, oh, it was some altruistic reason of like, I wanted to make a statement about the rule. Fuck that. You were just wrong. Like, here's the thing.
I hate the idea of computerized strike zones. I hate it.
Here's how I think the only way it would be implemented in the MLB to where I think people like you, and I say people like you because I don't follow baseball super close enough to where I feel I know. What I'm saying is this. So you use it kind of like, and I can never put it back to hockey because I just feel like hockey somehow has managed to stay out of the fucking shit show of the rule changes recently. I don't know how, but we've done it. You make strikeouts, inning-ending strikeouts, that's it, a challengeable offense. But that is when they use the electronic strike zone. So it's used to check the umpire if it's challenged. Now, baseball managers are assholes. They'll just challenge every single inning ending out for the rest of time.
Well, that's why you give them a limit on challenges.
Unless it's a swing and a miss, which there's no timeouts in baseball, so I would argue your substitutions come into play.
Yeah, I mean, mound visits and whatnot.
Mound visits, yeah. You lose a mound visit or something. Because that's about the only timeout there is in baseball. But because it's not like you get one every half inning. But so my thought would be it's used to check, because that's how Toronto in video review is used in the NHL. Unless a coach challenges or the referee openly says he wants Toronto to review it, that video doesn't matter.
Right.
Toronto will only call down if they discover a puck fully crossed the line and no one saw it.
Right.
And what they'll do is they'll blow the horn and it'll stop playing and reset the clock.
Right.
That's fine. That's what it is. But that's the only way I think you could see the electronic strike zone, because most baseball fans, will not accept it. And as a sports fan in general, I will say, while we don't like human officials getting things wrong,
it's part of the game.
It's part of the game, and it's part of the fun of the game. Like, soccer is a great example. So the Premier League, which we have on right now, because it's the only thing on this morning, and also my team is playing shortly, they have video review this year. The Premier League in England has video review for the first year ever. It's been a fucking shit show as the first season with any rule changes. I think it'll get better. But the fact is, it's not like it's human refs up in the stands rewatching the play and making a call. And they had a case, not in this league, I want to say it was in the Australian league, where they video reviewed a play, and the ref on the field called back and said, I think you're wrong. And I'm like, that's not good. It is not good when the guy who's supposed to reaffirm him tells him that, and then the guy who made the first call goes, fuck you, you're wrong. It's like, we've just dug the hole so deep for ourselves now.
That's why you leave the
call up top has to be the final call.
Yes,
can't be up to
the call from somebody whoever's watching the game has to be the final call in that situation.
That's why the Toronto thing is good, or the baseball thing when they challenge. When it goes to New York or it goes to Toronto, that is the final word. What comes back is what comes, and it's not challenging.
And that's what it is. If I'm not mistaken, that's how it is in the MLB.
It is, yeah. If those are non-challenge, it's an automatic ejectable offense, which umpires give managers a lot of slack. But if a challenge goes against you, it's not reviewable. So it's an automatic ejection if you argue that call.
Well, depending on the umpire, you get a lot of slack.
That's what I'm saying. Because some of these guys.
Well, no, that reminds me. I was up in St. Louis for the Cardinals-Giants game.
Towards the end of the season, yeah.
Yeah, and then the night before we went and saw the Cardinals Cardinals-Reds game. And it was like middle of the 5th inning, top of the 5th, I think it was. And game's going on, and all of a sudden, I see the ump look over to the Reds dugout, and he just stands there. And I know who he's looking at. He's looking at David Bell. Fucking David Bell. I see him from the dugout go, "What?" That was the signal. He goes, and then Bell comes out and gets his 7 cents worth.
Which means it makes me
which means that something was probably being said the first 5 innings of going on.
Bell says what now? But I mean, Bell knows what.
What? That was the signal. It was that right there.
Because you know who I've almost never seen get ejected, who now has a new job? Joe Madden. I never saw him get ejected a lot. He was a pretty level-headed manager.
He got ejected quite a bit in this last year, but I think he did it just for the simple fact of he knew his job was on the line and he had to stick up for his players.
He was trying to turn around.
Yeah.
I still don't. Okay, so we have a friend who's supposed to be on the podcast who's never on the podcast, which is now just a running joke at this point.
His name is Mac.
Mac is a Cubs fan. Mac and I have had disagreements over the last week about managerial appointments. Because I'm a guy who thinks managers' heads roll because of bad players. Or because players falling short, which I don't think anybody disagrees with in a lot of sports. I think hockey is a huge thing.
Yes.
Soccer, it's a huge thing.
Yes.
Baseball, it's becoming a thing. And let me put it this way. Joe Madden is asked to leave the Chicago Cubs. The argument Mac made was, because David Ross has been hired as Chicago Cubs manager. That's the other big managerial move. We'll talk about the other one here in a minute. David Ross has been hired. I don't agree with that decision. He was a great player. He was a good player for the Cubs for a long time. That has nothing to do with being a manager in baseball. It has nothing to do with it at all. Because a lot of your managers... we're not, because you have to see the game differently.
Yeah.
Seeing the game as a great player is fine. Seeing the game as a good, it's the difference between the field view and the top-down view, and that's the difference. And I'm not saying David Ross is not qualified to be a manager at some level.
That's not what we're saying at all.
But to just go from being a retired catcher to being a manager of one of the longest franchises in the MLB makes no sense.
Longest franchises in sports history. Let's be honest.
Makes no sense, especially a team that right now is seeing one of the biggest resurgences over the last 6 years of its ability.
We can use David Bell as an example. Former player, played for the Giants for a little bit. Reds didn't really have a good year. You could make the argument they didn't really have the talent around them to put up a good year. I would make the argument that they did.
I would say they made a lot of moves last offseason.
You could look at the Phillies, for example. Just got Gabe Kapler, or had Gabe Kapler. Former player. I think he played for the Royals at one point. Phillies, I think they had a losing record. Phillies had quite a bit of talent around them, including the $300 million man, Bryce Harper, who, by the way, season was rough. And
he's got a new manager now, though.
Yeah, he does. That's the other manager we were going to talk about. Phillies hired Joe Girardi.
But we'll talk about that in a minute. So the thing with the David Ross, fantasy update. Yeah, Kamara's out. Okay, they just confirmed it. It was an offhanded comment that the Saints coach made. He literally just came out and said, Kamara probably won't suit up Sunday.
Yeah, Sean Payton.
And that's all he said. And it's like, okay, I get, you don't want to lay a lot on the line. I get that. But for me as a fantasy coach where my entire offensive line is built around the Saints offense, please.
I need you to let me know.
I don't care if you tell them, text me, bro. DM me on Twitter. Do something, man. But I got to know what Thomas and Kamara's setup is because, motherfuckers, they get me 90% of my points every week. I need the Saints to go to the Super Bowl purely for points alone. I don't care if they win, but I need points, dude. So the thing with David Ross, I think he should have managed. I think the path that you look at, the Cardinals manage, and again, I'm not just saying the Cardinals have a good system because we stuck with Mike Matheny for way too long.
I don't think he should have jumped immediately into the managerial job.
I think he should have been either on the bench as a coach.
I think he should have been first or third base coach first, or for a couple of years just to get some leeway.
Get sent down to their minor league affiliate, who's a good team. I think it's the Iowa Cubs.
The Iowa Cubs, yes.
And not manage down there, but just observe because it's a pretty similar system. And you're gonna see, when you come into your job, a lot of those kids that you learned with there, you'll have a better seat in the new locker room when you come onto the Cubs roster because those kids have all gone up. That's what was nice about you look at Mike Schilt for us. He was the Memphis manager for a long time.
Right.
Now Stubby Clapp is the Memphis manager. Cool guy extraordinaire. But now he's the manager. Cool name extraordinaire. But he's now the St. Louis manager after Mike Matheny. But you look at some of the, you look at Paul DeYoung, you look at the Harrison Bader, all Memphis stars who got pulled up to the St. Louis Cardinals and are starting roster for the St. Louis Cardinals. He knows them all. Mm-hmm. So you have a better feeling because you're like, I taught these kids how to get to this next level. For David,
you have a better relationship, which builds a better locker room.
For David Ross,
or I guess in this case it'd be a clubhouse. But
for
you have a better
David
relationship
Ross,
that builds a better clubhouse.
For David Ross, what bothers me is, and this is nothing against those players, I don't know if they can see him as a manager.
Because you have to be the bad guy sometimes. It's not fun, but that's leadership in a nutshell. That's sports leadership in a nutshell.
You have to defend
your
players, but at the same time you have to let them know when they do something
to go back to Mac's argument was, well, he's got leaders in that locker room. My argument was this. Down the stretch when they had to win games to catch us and to catch the Brewers, they couldn't do it. If those leaders were going to step up, your Anthony Rizzo's, your Chris Bryant's, if they were capable, they'd have done it. What they showed is that they died too. They rolled over and took it. And they just didn't put it out.
But
if that's the case,
you could make the case though that John Madden allowed that to happen, or Joe Madden.
I'm not going to let him because I'm not going to let him take the blame, because you have teams that didn't do well, where players did step up and led their team in stats, even when the team wasn't good, because they were making a statement of, I'm not going to let this happen. Chris Bryant had a bad end of the year. Rizzo had a bad end of the year. They started having fielding errors. I'm not going to let the manager take the blame for players not being grown up and adult enough to try and take a stand on a bad season.
But it's his job.
No, it's not. It's not his job to inspire them. They should be inspired by the check they're making, and they should be inspired by the fact that their team is not getting the standards it deserves.
It is his job to run the clubhouse, and it is his job to run the team. And if the team doesn't perform the way that the team should perform, that is on him at the end of the day.
Yes,
That's
it is.
his responsibility.
But what I'm saying is their end of season stats as individual players were shit. They played awful. The Cubs played bad not only as a team, but as individuals. And some of them did not deserve to be playing on MLB rosters at the end of last year.
And part of that can be put on the blame of Madden for the simple
fact.
But
you can't, no. Don't give them an out. I'm done giving professional athletes an out when they make millions of dollars, because the managers can be moved. The players, at a certain point, are grown up and adult enough and good enough at this game to take a stand, not in the locker room. I'm not saying they can change the lineup. I'm not saying they can change who fields on who or what's fielding in what position. But on your own personal ability, you can make a catch, you can make a play, or you can make a hit. You can step up and play the game as good as you played it last year and the year before in your spot in the lineup. And that didn't happen for them. So this is a bigger issue than just we replace the manager and it's going to solve all of our problems. Those veteran players who won a World Series with the Chicago Cubs recently, good for them that we can say that and not have to, use a Ouija board to find the players. But the fact that we can do that, that's good for them. But what I saw was a complete lack of consistency. They won a World Series, and I now could say that with this lineup, that you could argue that's almost a fluke, because since then they have not been that team. They haven't even been close. And I think that is a huge thing that they have to address with themselves, is those players that want to be the veteran leaders and want to make the top money in the locker room, as we talked about before with the pie chart thing, where your top tier players are making 90% of the money in the locker room.
Yep.
If that's going to be the case, then those top 90% guys that are making all that money deserve to step up and deserve to take a stand. And what I saw was a bunch of players quit on themselves. Because what I saw from the teams that made the postseason, like the Brewers, the Cards, and the Nats, were lower paid rosters doing a much better job of playing baseball on an individual and a team basis. That's my stand on that. Because I understand that, again, the manager and coaches make all your lineup decisions. They pick who plays when. I understand that. That's a tough call. And if you're not making the right calls, you deserve to go. I'm not saying Madden did a great job. But for him to shoulder all the responsibility for this year like he has been, and him to go to the A's and they say, well, why would they hire a failing manager? It's on more than that. Because there are teams who have rudderless ships who manage to stumble into the postseason. But there are teams who have a manager who's proven himself as a winner, and maybe he got stubborn. That happens, where you're just like, the system should work. But with that roster, I don't disagree with them. That system should have worked. Okay, happier news. Joe Girardi got a new job.
Joe Girardi is now the Philadelphia Phillies new manager.
I like that fit. I like that he's not in the American League. He doesn't have to face his old team. And I think that's good.
He'll still have to,
not as often.
With the interleague
not
play.
as often.
No, yeah, not
because
as often.
That's my thing with that's the suckiest part of moving on as a coach, is when you move on and you get hired in the same division, and it's you have to face down arguably your demons for the next 4 years.
But the good thing, and I'm gonna speak for most baseball fans here. Most baseball fans, even after having a manager, you want to see that manager succeed at another team. If your manager of your team can't stick around or doesn't want to stick around, you still want to see them succeed at another team. So I feel like when Philadelphia goes back to New York, he's going to have a very arousing welcoming home.
Oh yeah, 'cause
in New York.
I remember we probably weren't even talking about sports between us two when he got fired, but I remember a lot of reports being probably one of the best managers of the last 20 years just got fired by a team he did nothing wrong at. That was kind of out of his. I would argue part of that was out of his control. And now they're saying look how much better they are. Yeah, but look who they've drafted since then. Aaron Judge did not play under Joe Girardi, if I'm incorrect.
I don't think you are incorrect. I can look that up real quick.
So, like, this revamped roster was not Joe Girardi's doing, but he never got the opportunity. What sucks about being a team that goes to the postseason a lot is you're not going to draft high. Like, that's just the nature of the beast.
Girardi's last season with the Yankees was in 2017. So yeah, Judge did play.
But it was early in Judge's career.
Yeah.
I think
that was Judge's rookie season. I can't remember for sure. But
see,
I think Girardi
Girardi is the opposite case of Ross. This is like, because here's what's going to happen with Ross, because we see it every time a manager gets hired who's like not very experienced. He's going to get like 3 months of terrible games where they're going to be like, he's new. He's got to learn the system. It's what it is. Joe Girardi's going to come into Philadelphia, and they're going to be like, if we don't win immediately, it's a failure. You're going
to look at the ump with David Bell.
Also, you want to talk about a manager who's not very patient with umpires? Joe Girardi's not very patient with umpires. He is not afraid to yell. But I like that pick, though. I was blown away we went so as long as we did without him getting hired. Like, I really am. Like...
I mean,
he may have been out of a job by choice. I'm going to take a couple years off. I'm going to just observe the game.
If I'm not mistaken, he was an analyst on MLB Network.
Yeah, he was for a while. And on the Yes Network, I believe, too. I think he did some game. Actually, no, he didn't. He didn't, because that would just be awkward.
Some guys do that, though. I've seen, like, Jose Mourinho, again, related to soccer, got fired by Manchester United. He was on Sky Sports the next week analyzing Manchester United's game under his replacement. And I'm like... This has conflict of interest written all over it. But he was super impartial because I think there's a professionalism, you know. Like,
yeah,
I got fired, it goes how it goes. Also, another guy I'm amazed doesn't have a job yet.
I feel like you could make the argument that, you know, when I'm the coach, I have to be a different person than when I'm off the field.
I think
like if I was the manager of the Giants and I was fired by the Giants, I would still support the Giants, and I would have to act differently on the field because I'm having to defend all of my players. Off the field, I can just talk about the team as a whole. This guy.
I've felt that sneeze since we started. And I'm just glad it finally showed up.
But yeah, that's probably all of baseball in a nutshell that's worth really talking about right now.
So, NFL.
NFL. All right, so the NFL this week, we're in the middle of our first week of predictions. If you didn't see that video, go back and watch it just because the editing was hilarious and probably the most fun I've had editing a video.
It was fantastic.
Sorry, I'm reading the Stardom Situm fucking
fantasy lineup
the NFL put out, and they said to start Sutton, and I definitely didn't start Sutton, but I have Thomas, so why would I start?
Well, you got Michael. Who's your second over Adam Thielen? Is my question. Because I mean, I'm starting Cortland Sutton.
I might have started Sutton.
Like he's the new number one in Denver now that.
I started Sutton. Never mind. Shut up.
I mean, he's the new number one in Denver after Emmanuel Sanders got traded.
I
to San
put
Francisco,
him in
so.
the second Thielen got pulled out. One of my week 8 roster became available. I put him in because I knew when Thielen didn't even return to the game and took his pads off. I was like, he's not coming back next week. That's a pretty easy thing to tell. If you take your pads off at the game you got injured in, next week is out. Like, I don't know why, but it's like the international symbol of. We're not coming back.
But yeah, for sure. Go back and watch our first Pick Your Poison video. It was a lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to make. I know he had a lot of fun editing it. I had a lot of fun laughing my ass off when I watched it back to see what he did. It was hilarious. So far, we are both 1-0. We both picked the Vikings to beat the Redskins Thursday night, and the Vikings beat the Redskins 19-9 on Thursday night.
I'm scared of a lot of our other picks, though.
Yeah.
Did I cut out the? There was a pick I talked about where we made a bold ass prediction about something.
Oh yeah, was it the Jets beating the Jaguars? Because you know the Jets were supposed to beat the Patriots on Monday Night Football, and that didn't happen.
No, that's what it was. That's what it was because we talked about. I put in like a disclaimer. If you go back and watch it, it's kind of funny, just about how we had made a really bold pick that really didn't happen.
No, you said Sydney made a bold pick because when we talked about that game, I go, stop. The Jets are beating the Patriots on Monday Night Football, and I look like I look now, which is stupid. That game was horrendous.
But all right, so if we're just looking at overall,
I'm so mad I was so wrong about that game. Like I was so wrong.
So the Vikings game though.
Yeah. Dalvin Cook had 23 carries, 98 yards, and a touchdown. He also had 5 catches for 73 yards.
Not the most exciting game we've ever seen though. 19-9, you know what I mean? Like.
No, but I mean it was close throughout. It was a close game throughout.
Well, you know what it was? Washington's defense has been pretty consistent, and the Vikings
consistently shit.
But I mean, like, I guess what I mean is like,
I know what you mean.
I would
just
rather,
had to get that
I
in
would
there.
rather like.
Hey, they were good against the Dolphins.
This might sound bad against us, like as a sports fan. If I had to pick my defense to be good one week, bad the next, I'd rather them just be middle table all the time. You know what I mean? Though, like, I would hate to be a fan who goes in and goes, "We're either going to give up
7.
We're either going to give up 7, or they're going to put up 40," and it's just what it is. Like
that was honestly my outlook for the Dolphins coming in. Like, not even gonna lie, that was my outlook.
AJ Green may make a Week 10 debut.
I hope so. I'm gonna pick him up and put him on my roster just to store him. No, I really thought the Dolphins were gonna be that team of we're gonna give up like 10 points because we got a really good defense, or we're gonna give up 75. Most we've given up is 59 so far to the Ravens. Now the Minka Fitzpatrick trade kind of threw a nail in all of that. Sucks being a Dolphins fan.
Sucks being Dolphins bullshit. It continues, but
it's gonna. Oh,
so week 8
tomorrow night's gonna suck, dude.
It is gonna suck for you.
It's gonna be.
What's our first game today? Actually, no. Like they all kick off at pretty much the same time. How many games kick off at noon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
We're not gonna win.
9 games kick off at noon today.
We're not gonna win.
You're not gonna win. The Steelers. You know what's bad though?
We're not gonna win a game.
It's not just like you're not gonna win tomorrow. I think you might get murdered tomorrow.
We're not gonna win a game.
You're gonna get murdered.
You're. Oh.
That's just so it stops buzzing the fucking table.
We're not gonna win a game.
You're not gonna win a game. That was his family texting him condolences for the Dolphins. It's a fucking shame.
You were witnessing the downfall of a Dolphins fan.
No, we witnessed that last time. We're 2 stages away from aggressive drinking. And he doesn't drink. Well, you do, but you're kind of like I am, which is we don't really drink.
We're not gonna win.
You're not gonna win. What do you think would be? We made our pick for game of the week this week on the week 8 picks for Pick Your Poison. I don't remember what game we picked off the top of my head.
What game? Go to the full list of games.
Okay, so games are Denver, Indianapolis, Tampa Bay, Tennessee, Arizona, New Orleans. That's definitely not it. Bengals, LA, Jets, Jaguars, Giants, Lions, Chargers, Bears. Did we pick Eagles, Buffalo? No, we didn't pick that as game of the week.
No. I think Buffalo's gonna have a field day against the Eagles defense.
Seattle, Atlanta.
That's definitely not it.
I
said Carolina and the 49ers. I said the Panthers and 49ers.
You said the Panthers 49ers. I think I picked Green Bay and Kansas City to be game of the week, which could be a good
I mean, that's the kickoff for that is I think like 7:20 tonight.
Yeah,
there's not really a whole
Central time, by the way.
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot to talk about with the NFL. Like, there's not a whole lot going on other than
there wasn't any
lineups and whatnot.
Crazy picks or anything. Which, by the way, I am going to do what you said. I'm probably going to do the same thing and try to see if I can find AJ Green on the waiver wire this week.
But yeah,
because I have a couple bench roster spots that I've never played, and I'm like,
I just had an idea. Next week on the podcast, we make our playoff predictions. We make our playoff predictions. We pick who's going to win each division because it'll be week 9.
Yeah, it's time to do it.
Tune in next week whenever Sydney gets to go another. I'm gonna pick all 8 divisions, and I'm gonna pick the North, South, East, and West of both conferences, and I'm gonna pick the 2 wildcard teams. Look for Sydney to go 0-12 next week in predictions, because none of them are gonna happen.
Probably not.
And I'm gonna use the same predictions that I used for at the start of the season. That way I don't look like I'm cheating or anything. I promise.
I just realized that when we record the pick'em for this week, to pick your poison, that we're gonna have a moment of dumminess because we won't know how our picks went. So I have to figure that out later in the week and put it above our heads.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Like I said, I'm gonna keep track of it anyways.
By the way, that was a total moment of pulling the curtain back. Look at the little green man moment because I edit everything, so it's like I have to realize in my mind the schedule of how things happen. So, but yeah, the NFL this week was not a. It was kind of just what you expected. Like, I just don't. Kamara being out kind of sucks for the Saints, but it hasn't hurt them yet because he got pulled from.
He didn't play last week. I don't think
he played the first half of the game, but I think he got pulled. No,
I'm trying to think of things to talk about. There's just not much to talk about. Like I can't even think of any topics to just talk about off the top of my head.
A lot of people think the Bears are like dead in the water, which I don't agree with.
See, and here's one of my 12 predictions. I have the Bears winning the NFC North.
I'm not going to make like a playoff thing for the Bears right now, but
I am.
I just didn't. Trubisky being back, and everybody's like, well, Trubisky can't handle it. I'm like, but he handled it the games he played this year. Handled it really well, actually. Like, I'm really confused where Trubisky's all of a sudden on the shit list just because he got injured.
Well, I think it's just based on.
Do we know when Rudolph for the Steelers is expected back? Because he's not playing this week, obviously.
No, I don't. I don't think it matters. Like I said, it could be the fourth string punter from the practice squad. I don't think.
But I mean, for Steelers fans, they need, if they're going to be in the postseason, they need a solid QB. And
well, no, you're right, but I think they can take this week off and worrying about who's going to be the quarterback for the future.
2-4. That's actually.
No, they're 3-4.
Oh yeah, you're right.
They're 3-4.
My bad. By the time you watch this, they're.
We're not going to win a game.
Sad face. So really quickly, before we go to the MLB, and before the NHL, fucking goddamn, it's early morning. Before we go to the NHL, really quickly, because college football, really quick, we'll talk about that. Was a pretty wacky weekend of games. Like, am I wrong to say that? Like.
Oh, what? I'm
dying inside. Yeah, I know. So college football.
Oh yeah.
Weird weekend.
Oklahoma lost. Kansas State upsets number 5 Oklahoma.
Which they're not going to be at number 5 for long. But
what a game! Like, if I'm not mistaken, going into the fourth quarter, I want to say it was like 48-23, and Oklahoma's defense showed up out of nowhere, and unfortunately, just they couldn't. They did not have enough time. I watched that fourth quarter. That fourth quarter performance by Jalen Hurts was outstanding. I think based off of that performance alone, Jalen Hurts should probably be the front runner for the Heisman after this week. But
wasn't he the front runner like every week this year?
I don't know. Even if he is, he's
the Heisman
runner now.
I don't want to be mean, but the Heisman's kind of a shit show.
Why is that?
Like, because sometimes people have like a good last couple weeks, if I'm incorrect, and all of a sudden they're the Heisman winner. But the guy that was like leading the front half of the season is kind of like, well, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, if he didn't put up the same numbers in the first half they did at the second half, then
yeah.
Like if the person in the second half put up better numbers.
So there were some close games, like Oregon beating Washington State 37-35, LSU beating Auburn 23-20.
Yep.
Kansas State upsetting Oklahoma by a single touchdown, and an extra point. There were some blowouts. Ohio State murdered Wisconsin, 38-7.
Kentucky beat Missouri. Not like anybody cares though. Those are both two terrible teams.
Alabama beat Arkansas 48-7.
I think they covered the spread because I think the spread was like 38.5.
Yeah.
It's one of the few times Alabama's covered the spread this year.
Michigan beat Notre Dame 45-14. Clemson beat Boston College 59-7. Utah beat California 35-0. When you get shot out in football, it's never good. That means you weren't even in field goal range. That means you literally played all your possessions within 10 yards of the 50-yard line. Am I incorrect in saying that?
Not at all. Unless you had a couple turnovers down in the red zone, which is still your own.
Or is it say that? Or you were so bad at returning kickoffs, you played everything in your own 20.
Oh my god! Like the greatest beatdown that was maybe not hardly even a sports event. Whenever Georgia Tech beat Cumberland College 222-0. Yeah, that was back. When John Heisman was the coach of Georgia Tech.
I was about to say that was one of those games that will never
Georgia
happen again.
Tech, or not Georgia Tech. Cumberland College did not make it past their 40-yard line all game.
Wasn't that back when it was not an organized league? It was just you called another team and you were like, "Hey, you want to play a game?"
Basically, yeah.
Because
I think at that time,
I don't think a lot of people understand that in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, that's how sports was.
I think
you just had to agree. Like the MLB was even like that.
Yeah.
You just had to agree to play each other. So teams actually sometimes did not play the same amount of games each year.
I think Georgia Tech with that span was on like a 32-game winning streak, and I think the game itself was 55 minutes long. At halftime, I want to say the score was like 126-0 at halftime. The coach of Cumberland College, and there's a whole great backstory to this. There's a guy on YouTube called John Boys. He's got an episode about this game in particular. But at halftime, the coach of Cumberland College goes and talks with John Heisman, and he begs and pleads with John Heisman to call the game at halftime because there's no point even finishing it out. And John Heisman goes, "Oh yeah, I'll shorten the game by 5 minutes." He still forced Cumberland College to play 25 of the last 30 minutes. He shortened the game by 5 minutes.
I like that. That's.
I think Georgia Tech had to score they had to score a touchdown every 1 minute and
every
32.
First down, pretty much.
It was every 1 minute and 32 seconds. Like a minute and a half into the game, I want to say it was 28-0 already. It is. It wasn't even a sporting event. It was a massacre. But no, please go check out that video. I love that video. I watch that video like once a month. It's amazing. But no, that's pretty much it for football. There just wasn't a whole lot going down. Tulsa's kicker was that was the greatest gift Memphis has received in all year.
Yeah. You know what? Somebody made a tweet last night, which I know we disagreed about, the Magnifico missed catch / reception.
Yes, we did.
And that's what it is. That's just, again, if we played the first quarter, a lot of people called it like the return of grace for that call, which was this whole thing of like, we didn't get that call to go our way.
No, you played a 45-minute game instead of a 60-minute game, and the fact that the game had to come down to that call is Memphis' fault.
Who all is in the AAC? Because I'm going to make a statement
It's
here.
nobody's fault but Memphis's. I think SMU, UCF. I think Tulsa's in there.
SMU, Navy. So West and East total is SMU, Navy, Memphis, Tulane, Houston, Tulsa. And then Cincinnati, UCF, Temple, USF, ECU, and UConn. So I know UCF is not the team they were a year ago. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think Memphis is like top 2 team in the AAC.
I would say Memphis. Who else?
Memphis, SMU, and Navy have the 3 best records, but Memphis has the best. Memphis has the 2nd best record overall. I'm incorrect. They're 7-1.
What I have seen from SMU so far, I would go out on a limb right now and say that SMU is a better team than Memphis. It's not by a lot. It's not by a lot.
You know what Memphis has right now? Memphis has probably one of the best rolling offenses in the country, I would almost say. Was Memphis ranked this week? No, they were ranked last week. I think they were 25th or 24th.
Yeah, they were ranked before they lost to Temple.
That was a rough game. I tried to Memphis and it went to Memphis.edu. It's like, they're not going to say.
But no, I think
God hope we can keep Mike Norvell. Like, I'm so sick of being a JV school for coaches where they get hired out.
I can't remember if this is his 2nd or 3rd year.
This is his 3rd year.
This is his 3rd year. This is his last year because he was signed for what, for 3 years. I can't remember what his
I gotta
contract
check.
was. I want to say it was like 5.1 or something. Like he was making 1.7 a year. If Norvell doesn't stay, and I think Mike Norvell is a better coach than Justin Fuente ever was.
I think he's the best coach we've had in the last 20 years. I'll be dead honest.
But if Norvell doesn't stay, I hate to say it, but you're going to see the downfall of Memphis football once again.
And he may stay.
I would love to see him stay. Like, I would love to see Norvell stay. He doesn't.
You know what's funny though is like you look at the guys before, you look at their post game interviews. Like, in a way, Norvell reminds me of LSU's coach.
Ed Ogeron.
He's the funniest guy I've ever seen in my life. You know what I like about him, and this is what I'm talking about. He's
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. He's a fan of the team he's coaching.
Yes.
I think Norvell gives off that vibe too. He's not nearly as outspoken as LSU's coaches.
And I know he played college ball. I'm trying to remember where. I want to say it was like Arkansas Tech or something. I think it was Arkansas, or I think it was Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Mike Norvell.
But no, I would love to see Memphis keep Mike Norvell. He
just celebrated a birthday recently.
He's transformed that team even better than Fuente did. Like he has to stay there. And I know it's like you said, you're tired.
Okay,
of
so this is actually
his spot.
This is his 4th year here. So in 2016, Mike Norvell coached in Memphis, and they went 8-5 overall and 5-3 in the conference, and they tied for 3rd in the West. And we lost to Boca Raton. We lost the Boca Raton Bowl.
Yeah.
2017, we went 10-3 overall with a 7-1 in conference record. We were 1st in the West, and we lost the Liberty Bowl.
God, shout out to that no call pass interference called Anthony Miller. I'm still sorry about that. I'm still sorry about that.
I remember watching that because we had family over, and I have an uncle who's a huge Alabama fan, and he was like, that was probably one of the top 10 blown calls of the year, like easily. Like, it was so wild. And also, you can tell it was wild because
it was obvious.
It was wild because Miller did not even. You know how you like shake the official's hand after the game? Yeah. He literally just stayed the opposite side of the field from the officials the whole post game, and I was like, I would have. Like, I couldn't have trusted myself to not say something asshole-like to him.
Well, I mean, that would have been your last game of the year.
That 2017 team had a lot of people get drafted. I want to say that was Paxton Lynch's last year. That was
Lynch's last year was in 2016.
2016, but that was Miller got drafted. And
Anthony Miller got drafted, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of those guys. So the next year we went 8-6 overall with a 5-3 record, but we still tied for 1st in the West because the whole AAC kind of dropped a little bit. And then we lost at the Birmingham Bowl.
Yeah, that was when you had Darrell Henderson get drafted to the Rams. You had Tony Pollard go to the Cowboys. I can't think of any.
He's actually gotten some games this year.
Yeah, Pollard's gotten a lot more touches just in garbage time because the Cowboys. When the Cowboys win by a lot. When they lose, they lose by a lot.
Close games, yeah. No, not close games. You're right. Yeah. So this year, just to continue on what we were talking about.
Yeah.
This year, we are 7-1 overall with a 3-1 in conference record. That Temple game is the only loss we've suffered on both sides.
Shouldn't have lost that game.
No, but I love that we beat. Every year, Ole Miss comes and plays us. We play each other every year. I think it's usually our first game of the season. Actually, we play Ole Miss. I want to say in the last 3 years we have not lost to Ole Miss.
I don't think you have. I can't remember.
And I'll admit that Ole Miss is not.
I don't even remember you guys playing Ole Miss last year or the year before that. I know y'all played them in Paxton Lynch's last year before it was drafted because I remember watching that game, and then I know y'all played them this year because that was the first game to start. But I can't remember if y'all played them in 2017 or 2019.
Yeah. So 2019 were this. His overall coaching record is 33-15 overall with a 20-8 conference record. Not bad.
No.
Like I'm happy with that.
Like, and I would just love to see Mike Norvell's. Mike. I would love to see him just.
We're 0-3 in bowls, but like it's rough. But we have 2 AAC West championships, so that's kind of cool. The NHL.
I feel like he just needs to stick around.
The NHL makes no sense.
NHL never makes any sense. It's honestly the perks of being a salary cap league. You never know what's going to happen.
So big news I would say is Jack Hughes has finally, I think, kind of found his feet as the first overall draft pick.
He just had a
3-point game, 2 assists, 1 goal, and the goal he had was top shelf on the airs on Auntie Ronta. He was just like shakabam, and then Capo Caco, who is the second overall pick playing for New York, and I'm not just doing this because I hate New York, but has not been happy with the situation. He actually made a statement where he said, "I want to play more, and if the coach doesn't play me more, we'll have to come to an ultimatum." Was kind of the statement he made, which. I don't see a rookie in his first year demanding a trade. That would be like Eric Lindros levels of insanity. But it's weird to me because the Rangers made, I would say, bigger moves than we did in the offseason as far as the Metropolitan is concerned. Yes. They got, Artemi Panarin. They got a lot of young talent, and they got Jacob Trouba from the Winnipeg Jets. And now you're sitting here, and it's like, is that Seamus?
Probably.
Definitely Seamus. He's a Liverpool fan. Fucking TV's on. I'm distracted. But as far as the National Hockey League goes, big things are your top teams right now, if I'm incorrect, are like the Buffalo Sabres.
Of all teams. You got the Boston. I got them right here. Yeah. The Sabres in the Atlantic Division of the Eastern Conference, they're 9-2. They're 9-2-1. The Bruins are 7-1-2. Maple Leafs 6-5-2, and the Lightning are 5-3-2. Your Capitals in the Metropolitan Division are 8-2-3. Hurricanes are 7-3-1. Islanders are 7-3-0, and the Penguins are 7-5-0. Go to the Western Conference. You have your Colorado Avalanche 8-2-1. Your Nashville Predators, who just beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in overtime last night. Josh, high-five me.
I can't be happy because the Devils lost to the Arizona Coyotes once again while holding a multi-goal lead. We were up 3-1. Mm-hmm. We would go on to lose that game 5-3 in regulation.
St. Louis Blues are 5-3-3. The Winnipeg Jets are 6-6. Going over to the Pacific Division, the Edmonton Oilers, I got it right this week. The Edmonton Oilers are 8-2-1. The Anaheim Ducks 7-5-0. The Vegas Golden Knights 7-5-0, and the Calgary Flames 6-5-2. So, good job. It's the benefits of a salary cap league.
Every league should be a salary cap league. For the sake of excitement, every league should be a salary cap league. Because first of all, and I don't want to be an ass, you would not have an undefeated Patriots team ever.
Or an undefeated 49ers
team.
And we can look at this with other sports too. By the time the All-Star break rolls around in the NBA, you know who's going to be in the playoffs. You know who's going to make the playoffs. You probably know who's
Golden State.
I mean, they'll be there.
They'll be there.
I know Klay Thompson's out with the ACL injury. I think I don't see.
Can I just say, and this is going to sound like, I don't follow basketball very much.
But I mean, you just with not having a salary cap league, you just know who's going to be there, and you just know who's going to suck ass.
I'm going to make a statement about basketball really quick. Shout out to the people who wanted us to talk about basketball. Kawhi Leonard is the evolved form of Allen Iverson. And let me explain why. They're not even close to the same player, don't get me wrong. Personality-wise, he is the evolved form of Allen Iverson. What were Allen Iverson's traits as a personality? He did not like talking to the media. It was like top 10 worst things he could do in his life. He didn't like talking about practice. He didn't like talking about anything to do with the team. What does Kawhi Leonard not like doing? He does not like dealing with the media. He just wants to play basketball. He follows, I believe, one person on Twitter. I'm going to check that really quick. But I believe he only follows one person on Twitter. And it's a guy he met when he was playing like college and high school basketball. Or high school basketball. And the guy said, you have really good things ahead of you. So he followed him on Twitter. I think it's the only guy he follows on Twitter.
Probably met him at practice. Practice.
Does Kawhi Leonard have a Twitter account? I don't think he does, actually. He did, but he only followed one person on Twitter. But you know what Kawhi Leonard does? He just goes out and plays like a top 3 guy in the NBA. Like
he does what he does what he's good at, and that's play basketball. He may not be good at talking to the media, which may be why he doesn't want to talk to the media.
He's definitely one of my favorite. Was he the one that started the board man gets paid? Like, yeah, that's what he said. That guy started talking about him, I think, was the board man gets paid. And they were talking about how he was like basically on the board of directors for the Toronto Raptors, and they go on to win a championship. Which apparently his first game in Toronto, people are expecting to be like a tearjerker because I mean he was like the messiah for the Toronto Raptors. But you know what's funny is that Raptors squad is a good squad this year.
Yeah, it's still
they're going to be a good team. And he joined the Clippers. I love that he didn't go to the Lakers. I love that. It's just
I saw something hilarious. Kawhi Leonard was responsible for the Warriors' last loss in Golden State, and now he's responsible for their first loss in their new arena.
How are the Grizzlies doing? Not good. I think they've been up and down.
I think they're 0-2.
0-2, yeah. You know what sucks? It's the same thing as last year. It's the reverse of last year, actually. We play the first half, and now we lose in the second half. Last year, we didn't play in the first half, and we came within points every second half, where it'd be like we go into the half down like 65-45, and then we lose like 110 to 108, like every time. And it was like, as a Grizzlies fan, how do you not lose your shit?
J.D. Bickerstaff was the coach last year, right? I can just imagine Bickerstaff going into the locker room and saying, "Look, guys, we don't want to be here because we know we're not going to win.
I think I need to.
We got to make it close."
I don't have an NFL team. We're currently in debate right now, and I've been talking to you about it. I don't have an NFL team or an NBA team, and I want to have one of each, and I don't know who to go with. Because if I want to be hometown, I'm probably going to cheer on the Grizzlies. I just like the Grizzlies.
I mean, I root for every hometown team that we've got. It's the biggest reason why I'm a Preds fan. I'm a Preds fan for the simple fact of they were the first team I started watching when I got into
The only reason I'm not a Preds fan, and this is going to sound dumb, is I grew up in rural Alabama, which pretty much, in my opinion, made me a free agent.
Yeah.
As far as teams go.
Absolutely.
And the year I was born, the team I support, now that I've supported, and you can say, like, I got accused of being a bandwagon fan on Twitter.
For being a Devils fan?
For being a Devils fan. First of all, the fuck. Second of all, you can attest to this, since you've known me. I am a ardent Devils fan.
Yes.
Through the highs and lows of this life. So, yeah, the Grizzlies are 0-2.
I think you were wearing a Taylor Hall jersey the first time I met you.
I didn't have that t-shirt yet. I was probably wearing my Devils jersey, though.
Oh.
I don't have a Taylor Hall jersey. I'm probably going to get a PK Subban jersey, honestly. I love that guy.
You don't have a Taylor Hall?
I have a Taylor Hall t-shirt. It has a Devils logo and a Hall on the back, but I didn't have it when we first met. But I got it very recently. The Atlanta Hawks are 2-0. The 76ers are 2-0.
That was not surprising. The Hawks a little bit, but the Hawks are a good young squad. No, like I'm actually going to agree with Josh. I'm going to kind of agree. I don't think that we should move every league to a salary cap league, but I feel like there needs to be some ramifications so that people aren't getting paid.
I don't
like drought money.
Here's the thing. I don't have an issue with. Here's the thing, and I'm trying to. There was I love reading Twitter arguments, by the way. You want to talk about a sick indulgence of mine? It's watching people get red in the face about fucking Twitter. But
I had that happen with me yesterday, but it was through text messages.
There was an argument online about salary caps and why they're good and bad. And someone said that in the it was either the MLB or the NBA, that we should not be able to tell players how much money they can make. And it goes back to our first ever episode where we talked about spending big. Sometimes it doesn't pay off. What it teaches is common sense with general managing. I think hockey general managers are accidentally the smartest general managers because you have to weigh so much more. You can't just be like, hey, daddy, owner, cut me a blank check for this player. Because that's what happens in some leagues. Because you watch guys get these checks and you're like, but he hasn't done anything. Like, I'm not saying Mike Trout's that guy. Don't get me wrong. Mike Trout's put up amazing numbers. Mike Trout's not that guy. But there are definitely players where they get cut a check and you're just kind of sitting there like, why? Like,
I'm trying to think of any in basketball off the top of my head, and I'm drawing every single blank in the book.
I'm trying to think of a bust.
Chandler Parsons. Chandler Parsons. We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I could say James Neal for the damn Calgary Flames last year in hockey. And that's a salary cap league. He got paid like $6 or $7 million, and he put up like maybe 20 points.
Yeah.
It was like, wow.
Didn't injuries play a role in that though last year?
What?
Didn't injuries play a factor
at the start of the season? But he got, I think he played like over 60 games.
And even still, when
he was healthy, he wasn't productive.
And,
he just looked slow.
And when you get that kind of a check, you get that kind of a check for your ability to withstand a lot of punishment.
Flashback to my Cubs rant.
You should definitely not be. You should not be making a lot of money. Being a professional athlete if you don't think you can stay healthy.
Well, it's not even just like Chandler Parsons. Or Mike DiPietro. Mike DiPietro will be paid by the New York Islanders $1.5 million a year, I believe, until 2022.
I remember.
And he got signed to that contract by Mike Milbury. That's why you're a TV analyst, Mike, is because you couldn't be a general manager. He destroyed that Islanders team. The fact that they're paying
he did.
No, you know what's even better is Mike DiPietro was a TV analyst for the Islanders TV coverage. He's getting 2 checks from basically the Islanders organization every year. One to be on TV and one to not play hockey. There you go. There's your wrap-up. Mike DiPietro's contract is the worst NHL contract in the history of mankind. Hands down.
Oh, God.
You're paying rookie money to a guy who is not playing anymore, who has not suited up since, I believe, the 2008 season. Maybe the 2010 season, if I'm being generous. And he gets bank. Side note, I don't know who his agent is. That guy deserves a slot in the Hall of Fame. Greatest sports agent of all time.
I'm going to put him as second because the greatest sports agent of all time is the guy that got Bobby Bonilla's contract.
Oh, it's the same thing. Isn't Bobby Bonilla with the Mets?
Yeah, Bobby Bonilla.
So here's what we're saying. New York's second-tier teams can't do business. That's what we're saying. Like, the Mets can't do business with their stupid apple that pops up and down. That apple bobbing up and down is the money they could have. You got to be quicker than that. And for the Islanders, they wear orange because it's safety, because they're just so dumb they might walk into traffic. God damn, y'all. You couldn't keep John Tavares. Now, to be fair, I'm going to give the Islanders an out. John Tavares had a picture of him as a kid sleeping in Toronto Maple Leafs PJs. That dude wanted to play for the Maple Leafs. Now he's the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Good for him. He's out right now on injured reserve. Feel you, man. Dude, holy shit, Mike Norvell makes bank. We're going to talk about that after the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it was a little bit all over the place. We kind of didn't have very many show notes because this week was a little bit weird as far as production goes. I had a really busy week at work, and Sydney's been busy with some stuff. So we're working our way towards getting back to kind of some more regular podcasts and stuff like that. We'll have better show notes next week. Shout out to my ass for having to tag this video on YouTube. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to check in on Wednesday for our Week 9 picks in the NFL so you can get your pick your poison picks. Make your bets if you make bets. Don't bet money with us. Don't come hurt us.
Don't whatever you bet, just bet, or if you're gonna bet, just bet the opposite of my picks.
Yeah, bet the opposite of Sydney's picks. Although we agreed on a lot of picks, so
bet the opposite of both of our picks.
Bet the opposite of both of our picks. But if I say something and Sydney doesn't, go with me. That's all I have to say. Because my picks have been slightly better. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a good week and stay safe. Bye bye.